Hello, everyone. Welcome to another match in the A-League Division, Season 70. Matches between jonts and xyrix. I'm Akuchi, and I'm joined in commentary by breppert.
Hello.
And we've already started Game 1. So what's
Looks
going
like it
on?
won't take an hour today. There's Inventor, and then I guess you've got a little bit of a trouble with Village, but you have Lost Arts and Royal Carriage. They're just, which is plenty. They're just expensive.
Yeah.
This looks fast and Inventor pickaxey to me.
You don't... I mean, there's a bit of an anti-synergy there, right?
There
Where
is.
the inventors will make it harder to get loot from the pickaxe. You don't think any player's gonna gun for like a more of like a full inventor megaturn type thing with Royal Carriage?
Yeah. As you bring that up, I do think that, especially given that it's a colony board, well, maybe that's not terribly important. But given that you've got Royal Carriage and Inventor, you could easily do more of that line.
Yeah, it's tricky though because you can't Royal Carriage and Experiment, which you would really love to do because that's the best draw here.
Yeah. Otherwise, you need to be doing it on Poacher, really.
Well, you can put Lost Arts on Carnival. Um, that's probably the direction I'd look to go.
Yeah, I think that makes most sense. You could put Lost Arts on Inventor as well, but that doesn't work for drawing things first.
hmm So the openings were John's opened Transmogrify, Xerix opened Inventor. So Inventor Experiment versus Cargo Ship Transmogrify. Yeah, those both seem like pretty reasonable opens to me. I prefer Transmogrify because if, like Chance, you get to play a turn three, it's really good.
Yeah, I think I like the Transmogrify as well. Seems pretty close, but state to experiment is really, really nice.
There's no good way to trash copper in this kingdom. Transmogrify doesn't do it. Um, Pickaxe can do it, but it's like not exciting. Same with Crystal Ball.
Yeah, Pickaxe seems almost kind of pretty good because the payload density here is pretty thick. So even though you're really just probably going to use Pickaxe mostly to just trash your coppers, like you said, that's really the only thing to do it, and it's not that good at it. Thinning seems very useful,
It
but also hitting 5 and 6 seems very useful.
Yeah, and you can definitely pickaxe an experiment like to get a loot. That seems like a pretty reasonable thing that I expect we'll see.
Yeah, you do want a little bit of plus buy here, certainly. Even if you're doing the heavy inventor stuff,
hmm
having the plus buy with that is really useful.
Yeah, so Xerix like already has. What did he? Okay, John's just got an inventor. Okay, so both players playing with at least one inventor. That does make the like pickaxe experiment thing a little harder to pull off. But here we go. John's is proving that it will be done.
Yeah, if you just draw your cards in the right order all the time, this game's pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean John's perhaps thinking this might be one of my last opportunities to actually get a loot from trashing experiment. Now that I have now that Johns has added the inventor to deck.
Interesting, Johns chooses to take this single experiment there. I guess it's in a decent amount of trouble with that split, or was, but the players are definitely fighting hard over the experiment split rather than going more the carnival draw route, which I think
Yeah,
makes some sense given how fast this board is.
I think it is powerful, Lost Arts on Carnival, but it's like awkward to set up, because you already have your terminal space filled. So can you even play a Carnival that you get? Like maybe not. In which case, like you like are wasting multiple turns before you even have one Carnival you can play.
right? And meanwhile, the game is ending in a pretty rapid fashion.
Well, I'm not sure. Two piles definitely, but what do you think the third pile might be?
Probably Inventor would be my guess. At least
Hmm.
that's the one that gets low enough where it's a problem.
So this was a bit of a dead turn from Xyrix. Xyrix still has two estates in deck, by the way. Slower to get that Transmogrify going, and also doesn't have a pickaxe, so
Yeah, looking pretty good for Jonts from this position.
oh, look at that. Xyrix put Lost Arts on Carnival before getting a single Carnival. I mean, as I was saying, that there's an argument there to make that because you probably can't play that Carnival if you draw it.
Yeah, well, Xerix was in a position where the experiment split. The experiments were going, and there was nothing that could be done about that. So I suppose, just saying, okay, I'm going to go for Carnival later. At least at some point, I'll have a good deck. Makes sense. And then you don't have to keep buying the experiments, which is useful.
J-Nail's sarcastically suggesting that Xerix should have put Lost Arts on Experiment. But the big downside there is you can't Royal Carriage the Experiment, so and you're kind of locking yourself into that. I don't know. It's not clear to me that that was the right call. But here, Xerix can get a bunch of Carnivals. Which they should probably do. Then they don't have to mess with experiments at all. I'm not sure how the carriage is split. I'm guessing that Xerix has more, just because they had 5 on their mat this turn.
Yeah, unless we're seeing all of them. Which that's pretty important. I mean, that is the best way to make your payload work here. And, keeps your turns going too. Xerix is not going to should not have problems drawing, although might next turn? I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. Next turn, I don't know what those 6 cards are, but you'd need some experiments to try to find those carnivals. And even then, you might get unlucky because like you put all those royal carriages into your shuffle, so you're not, you might not see the carnivals you did add. So yeah, we'll see if Jonts ends up going for carnivals at all. I'm guessing not. Because it's just like,
Yep.
I don't know, maybe you could. Like, if both players mostly give up on experiments, then the piles aren't. Like, if carnivals get low, it's still scary, right? Because you could just. It's easy to empty experiments, even when they're at nearly full.
I'm not so sure about that province. I do think piles are getting a little bit on the low side, sure, but
I don't really know what Xerix was afraid of there. That pickaxe trashed that cargo ship for nothing. Is that better than trashing copper? Hmm.
I guess John's really
Oh,
doesn't have any extra terminal space.
I was good on Jonts to empty experiments. I don't know if Jonts was aware of Xerx's like likely transmogrify trashing estate, but that really messes up Xerx's turn here.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I'm guessing Johns was not 100% sure, although maybe Johns was. But it still was a good, yeah, certainly a good move to empty the experiments there, especially so that this turns into John's having or Xerix just having to play for next turn. Pile's definitely a large concern now. Either player could surely pile in a turn, although a little bit harder for Johns to do that and win.
Yeah, I mean Xerx has got the draw set up. I think if Xerx puts a carnival onto this cargo ship, they're going to have a really good next turn. On the other hand, they might be afraid to do that, but I don't think that fear is warranted. Like, jonts, I don't think really has the potential to empty 4 carnivals and get a colony or a province estate. Like, that just seems beyond the realm of what jonts can accomplish.
Jonts might be able to do that. Jonts does have, I believe, at least 4 royal carriages, and then has the jewels. There's quite a number of gains there. It's tough, but it might be there if things draw perfectly.
Yeah, so Xyrix does go ahead and gets the extra carnival. Now, the way I'd play out Xyrix's turn is I'd plan to Royal Carriage 1 carnival to get the plus action, and then use all my other Royal Carriages on inventors, and potentially that would set up some, like, an overdraw opportunity. So I'll be curious to see how it all works out.
At Jules de Provence certainly looked like it was a. I guess yeah. I guess the win really wasn't never going to be there for Jones because the experiments would have to be returned even if Jones did draw.
Yeah, that's the thing with experiment. And John still doesn't have plus action on Carnival, so I feel like Xyrix is way ahead.
Yeah, in a very real way, Xyrix having to take that turn, those 2 turns off to set up the Carnival thing seems to have very much paid off.
Okay, that was a little unlucky. Carnival revealed 2 copper, 2 royal carriages.
Now the luck's evening out a little bit.
I would have just called that previous Carnival, but we're calling this one. Okay. We might have gone. Yeah, no. I guess we did need to do it that way to get the extra royal carriage up anyway. So is this a win? I think so. You get 4 inventor plays. No. You get a bunch more than that. I can't count.
Yeah, it's a win by
By a lot.
a lot.
All right. Well played by Xyrix. I think I'm not a believer in the no carnival game plan there.
Yeah, certainly the way that played out. Carnival is right, and I think probably almost all the time it looks right because it's just so much nicer to be able to use your inventor to not have to keep regaining all your draw all the time.
And being able to royal carriage your draw.
Right.
So this kingdom, we have a lot of treasures. And not a whole lot going on that I see.
Is it just kind of change gear trove money-ish? Maybe contract is a pretty decent card.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Desert Guides is. I think it's. Wait, we don't have Desert Guides. Oh, we have Guide. That's where I got confused. Yeah, so it's Circle of Witches. It's nice to hand out some curses here because there's not a great way to trash it. So sure, I can get behind some contracts maybe.
I just sort of buy a deck that's a bunch of gears and contracts mostly.
Yeah, along with the change, so you get rid of those estates. Yeah.
Yeah, the change helps gain more of those things.
All right, we've got a war chest gain.
Fine.
I generally don't like war chest here.
You can gain contracts or figurines with it, either of which are pretty decent cards, and at some point maybe a trove as well.
Yeah, but it never gains you a province.
Not directly.
I'll just be on whoever side gets fewer war chests. So if anybody gets a second war chest, I'll be rooting against them. just so everybody knows.
I will be right there with you. I can see the one with it. Okay,
Hey!
now we have to root against jonts.
All right, let's go, xyrix. Don't follow. Oh, pig. Nice. Pig makes collision. Not so bad. Wow. Goes for figurine. I think we are valuing contract more than these players are.
Yeah. I mean the Circle of Witches thing with contract isn't that great, but still this is like a nothing board where the curses are like tough to deal with.
Yeah, it's kind of like idle strength cursing. I'd say it's like it's close to that level. Um, idle's a little
Yeah.
bit faster, but contract has the added bonus of potentially setting aside an unused action or whatever.
Yeah, contract's probably a little better on like really messy boards like this. I do think the Weaver thing, like the Weaver guide thing is like totally reasonable too. That chat's been talking about. Like that's part of this like good stuff money board. Seems right to me.
Yeah,
Seems better than two war chest.
I did see that synergy. It's just I don't, I guess, love stocking up on sub 5 cards here. At worst, they're a pig, but I mean, a pig's not very good.
Yeah, I think it might be that like gear is just kind of always better than Weaver, and playing your 5 cost is better than Weaver. It's all close on boards like this where you're not really doing much anyways.
Yeah, this board is just interesting enough that I expect an interesting endgame. Especially with like the different ways to more efficiently gain duchies than there usually is. Like normally a kind of gear money kingdom is going to be really strongly oriented to who can get 5 provinces first, but in this kingdom with both enclave and war chest, you can definitely win if your opponent gets 5 provinces.
Yeah, for sure. Although I would still very much want to be the player with 5 provinces.
Mm-hmm. And hence, I don't want to be the one with 2 war chests. Yeah. Contract did a thing. I'm trying to. What is the timing here with Circle of Witches? It's like at the end of it, right? So the next time either player plays a contract, it will give out a curse, I believe.
Yeah, it does work for that.
It's also good to have the change in the deck, and with the gear, you can kind of like keep it along to a key moment, but like change should help you kind of spike province at the end. You need something you need to be careful about.
Yeah, change is not great at milling and spiking, but it does do a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's not great. Like it's not a great threat when you have 2 provinces left to threaten to get them both, because if you change something into a province, you have to pay off that debt before you can buy another province. So
Meanwhile, these war chests are like at a very questionable point in this game.
we get a duchy. I'm pretty surprised we didn't play one of those gears as a pig. Well, paid the price. All
But you can
right,
use the contracts to set them up.
curse time.
Well,
Unfortunately, 1 coin short. Oh, I guess if you discarded the gear, you could have bought a province there as jonts, but pass that up. Hmm.
there's been a lot of 7 hitting going on. We're on turn 12 here, and there's still 8 provinces.
Yeah, I mean xyrix hit 10 pretty early and bought an enclave, which seemed reasonable. And jonts could have hit 8 there, but they decided to set aside their gear to play this turn, which means they'll definitely hit 8 this turn.
Yeah, these decks are pretty good at this point. Should be pretty consistent from here on in. But I think we have seen that, the war chest does kind of slow you down from getting to those initial eights relative to if you just bought the other five costs.
Wow, we're figuring. Are we gonna three pile this kingdom? This would be deeply upsetting if so. Y'all should buy provinces. It's a good card. Is John's not gonna have plus buy? It might not. This is a
What should the
tough
three
decision
piles?
with the
What should the three
gear.
piles be normally?
Yeah, J Nails is. I don't. J Nails would play with Weaver like a like an awful person. I think.
Jane House would pile Weaver, Silver, and something else.
Weaver gear or something. Like Weaver gear guide maybe. Hey, late curses are still good here. It's points. All right, at least a province was bought. We have that at least.
Only took us till 12 turns in. John's way up on points. There's a lot
Eh,
of figurines.
I would not say way up on points. Xyrix is gonna match that here.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
And Xyrix getting ready to give out a second curse. Wait. Oh no, one coin short. Whoops.
You see, if instead of War Chest you just bought copper earlier, this would be 8.
Oof. Ooh, I don't like. Ugh, that's gross. Duchy Estate. Yuck. I don't know if I'm rooting for Xerix anymore. I do not like to see a
Yep.
Duchy Estate buy.
Yeah, Xerxes' deck is definitely very full of treasures, but still, it's also full of figurines, and putting green into the figurine deck at this point with 6 provinces left, yeah, you're gonna feel that.
Got a pronunciation question for you in the chat.
I'm saying figurine or figurine. I'm saying figurine. I'm neither of those. I'm just saying it correctly according to myself.
Okay, what I'm hearing is figurine, which is fine if you
I mean,
say it fast enough.
is that not? I have no idea. I have no idea about anything at this point.
Guess. Wow, estate. Hmm. Yeah, I guess you're thinking you're not going to shuffle. That seems reasonable.
Yeah, it seems right to me at this point. You're just max pointsing.
That's a lot of figurines from Xerix.
Yeah, these decks are overbuilt, I think.
It's a consequence of the early war chest, right? Like it's just something to gain from war chest is where all these figurines are coming from.
Yeah, it's kind of odd to me. It's odd to me to pair the war chest with the treasure trove.
Ooh, we top decked a change by playing Bauble first. Okay, that's technology. That's pretty scary, right? For jonts, like you don't want to lower that profits pile now.
Yeah, now lowering to 1 is losing in a lot of hands, including the one that Xerxes is looking at. If all you do is get
Yeah. If all you
profits.
do, yeah, or even province estate, right? Which is any of it. Jonts doesn't seem like they can't even do that. So Yeah, Bauble's good. Bauble's pretty good.
Yeah, Bobble's a good card.
It's so flexible. The pawn of the treasure cards.
Like pawn, but good.
It's like pawn but pawn ish. I don't know. It's not that much better. But it is better if you choose plus one coin, plus one buy.
It certainly makes you feel more clever more frequently, which to me, that's most of the value of playing these cards.
Yeah, pawn's got the thing where sometimes you're just like, I guess I'll do plus one card, plus one action, and then it's like, why did I even have the pawn in my deck? But
Yeah. And
that's
then you do that 9 more times as the game goes on.
well, yeah, but that means you got too many pawns.
Oh, yeah.
So that's like
This is
a
right.
lesson for you to, you know, to like improve.
But I just had 2 coins. What else was I going to do?
Okay. Okay. Can we get two duchies here? I think change just kind of sucks that way, and you can't.
Maybe if
You're one coin
Figurine
short right
hold two
now.
golds.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean just one gold is enough. Yeah. What is John supposed to do? Buy a
Take
duchy,
duchies, surely.
clearly, but yeah, I don't know what else.
And now Xyrix is in a not super clear spot to me.
No, but at least you can set aside the change, so you keep the threat active. Ooh,
Yeah,
this looks
keeping that
good.
change around.
Yeah, keep the change around, play this gear. Looks pretty good. Wait, what? What? What the hell's going on? What is this? Oh, it's so close.
An
Okay,
attempt to double. I mean, drawing
this
gold
is
change
not.
there is
This is not
pretty
good.
fortunate.
Is it? I think drawing a gold is really fortunate.
I said it was fortunate.
Oh yeah,
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 so
yeah. That was so
the
weird. I would have just kept two provinces there. Like you could get.
and
You
John
could.
struck the gold to get the win.
Uh, anyway,
That was all strange. This is a strange game.
strangest money kingdom I've seen in a while. Game three,
Oh,
1-1.
not rebuild. Just saying.
Hmm. What is the payload? Doesn't look like much to
Oh, well,
me.
you have perils here.
Yeah. Oh, Peril with Fortress. Yeah. Unfortunately, the
Yeah,
plus buy is awkward.
yeah. You really want your first peril to go well because you don't really want to be buying capital.
Mm-hmm. We got a 5-2 here from jonts. Is
Ferryman
Tricks?
looks pretty good. Trickster, the other option.
I do not like the early Ferryman because I do not like the early duplicate. I don't like a late duplicate either, but I like it a little better. You know
Yeah, duplicate
this
doesn't really do much for you. Trickster seems good to me.
this 5-2 would be a lot better if there were shelters.
Oh yeah, it would be don't bottom deck stuff and you just win.
So xyrix opened with a fortress, so we know that game plan.
I think you adding the fortress kind of as soon as possible makes sense because you're really limited on that plus buy. Once you get that plus buy, then you can start adding in storytellers and a lot more perils, and then you're sort of off. But you do want to play tricksters too.
You were very confident. You said no rebuild, right?
I am, yeah. I mean, I think rebuild might win 20% of the time here, but like it's got to be wrong.
Uh, uh, hmm. I'm not seeing it as an all or nothing thing. I mean, what else are we doing with those estates?
Oh, that's fair. You can add a rebuild just to do the estate stuff. It's
I
just
yeah,
I was
I
just saying it's not a rebuild kingdom. Like that's the plan.
yeah, I mean I like focusing on Peril, but you're still not drawing your deck well. So I think I would like to play with a rebuild.
Yeah, I think it's just tough to find a time to add that rebuild.
I also think that
I just
Trickster from Johns is doing a lot of work. Like I'm just looking at these curses and thinking, yeah, these curses suck.
Yeah, opening Trickster here, I think the 5/2 I think is really good. Assuming that you get some plus buy from your perils before too long.
So
Yeah,
Xyrix,
Shield and
like,
Hammer are good.
yeah,
Hammer doesn't do a
Xyrix
ton.
really wants the goat though. What's it called? Is it the
It
prize
needs
goat? What?
Yeah, the prize goat. Prize goat's
Okay.
amazing here.
I was doubting myself. I was like, is it a giant goat? No, that's like D&D. It's some kind of awesome goat though. Some kind of goat like you wouldn't believe. Chalice not bad in this kingdom at this point.
It could be worse than Chalice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure could.
It'd be like Insignia. It seems
Yeah, I think Insignia seems worse and Doubloons is not much better. As per usual.
kind of surprised neither player has gotten Storyteller, but 5 just hasn't been hit that much here. Because once you get Storyteller and you can start scheming it, it seems like these decks would start coming together pretty well. But there is a lot of junk in them still too.
Ooh, can you peril the same fortress twice? Sure
Yes, you
can.
can.
Let's go. Oh, one
There we
prize goat
go.
gone.
Goat and sword.
And goat's good
Those
for
are bad.
jaunts. Like it just would be even better for Xyrix.
Yeah, but in Johnson's position, it's almost like now you're winning.
So now as jaunts, I might not get a rebuild because you've got a good way to deal with those estates.
I'm a little bit surprised that Xerix keeps gaining schemes over more Blessed Villages, although we do see some Blessed Village gains there. Just because Xerix already has several schemes,
Mm-hmm.
not many action cards to scheme.
Scheme plays pretty nicely with like the single rebuild in deck. Also, like even if you're playing with storytellers, if you like scheme a rebuild and a storyteller, then you can guarantee like very nearly guarantee that you're going to have a target for that rebuild.
Yeah, definitely useful to scheme the rebuilds at some point of this game. Yeah, if you have the again, if you have the time for it. I think that the Fortress Peril stuff might be so good that you're just focusing on lining that up as quickly as possible, and then you're greening.
Yeah, I mean, you just think though, you play rebuild twice and you get 4 or 5 VP. That's a pretty good return.
It is. I can definitely see if if you're in the position. Oh yeah, we just did a resign, which I think is okay, especially given after that goat came out.
Yeah, Trickster just did a lot of work.
The trickster opened there, and the trickster moving a copper over is also helpful, certainly there.
Yeah, I underestimated Trickster when it was first revealed. Turns out cursing is good.
Yeah, it seems like it would be kind of like a pretty bad card when you just read it from first principles, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, cursing is good. That's the most important principle.
And it's like kind of pleasant, right? Like Witches +2 cards is in a vacuum stronger effect than Trickster's like set aside the treasure. But sometimes you're drawing dead with Witch, right? And that happens like quite a lot early game. So in the early game,
Yeah.
they're pretty similar strength.
Meanwhile, because it's a Xerix match, we're on turn 3 in the New Kingdom. Then Xerix had the 5/2 Bandit open and trashes down to just Necro, which I find interesting.
Hmm. Yeah. Dang, I would have thought about. I would have. Yeah, I would have been thinking about 5 times longer than xyrix here. Okay, so what is that necropolis there for? Oh, we're gonna pick up a legionary, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
And yeah, necropolis versus inn. I mean, if you could like inn reduces hand size just the same amount, so you might as well not have to waste a buy on inn if you can avoid it. Although you probably want to play with inn and hunting grounds also, or no, just dens could work. Yeah. You could just go with dens. So John's with a, I was gonna say a late donate, but it's only turn 4, a late-ish donate.
Yeah,
Um,
decides to hit 5, pick up the bandit first, which I think is a pretty reasonable way to go about it.
yeah, I mean, another option is turn 1 donate, which I think is underutilized. Uh, Johns could have definitely done turn 1 donate into bandit turn 3, and then at some point you do another donate.
Yeah, I think the turn 1 donate makes sense in situations like that. I could see it being better than the delayed version of that.
Especially in this situation where there's like nothing good to open. So Johns ends up getting like 2 silvers. But the problem there is in a donate kingdom, like the second silver is like it's just not good generally. Like if you're aiming for single province, right? Anytime those 2 silvers collide, you're like it doesn't help in the same way that getting 2 golds and a silver gets you province.
Right. And this was best case scenario for Johns, where you do hit 5 turn 3, you do donate turn
Mm-hmm.
4. Like you could easily miss with the double silver open on turn 3.
All right, so Johns gets the legionary before xyrix. Xyrix has a lot of gold though, but what's Xyrix been doing? Oh, cutthroat. Whoa.
Guess you want the plus buy, right? Especially with all that gold.
See if he gets it.
This should it be a launch here?
It was already a launch.
Or is it already a launch? Yeah.
So we getting hunting grounds.
Hunting grounds, huh? So now you have 3
Okay,
terminals.
because you expect to get attacked. Okay. That makes sense. So Johns didn't play. Hold on. Didn't Johns have a bandit in hand? And they chose not to play it? No. Okay. They discarded it to cutthroat. Got it.
This is pretty good from Xyrix. Hunting grounds, I think, makes a lot of sense, really.
Okay, that was a cool sequence. So the bandit activated to get the loot. Okay. Xerix is playing a much more interesting deck than I was imagining, and I'm on board with it. It's just a little risky, because you might not get plus buy from that first loot, and then you're in, I think, a pretty rough spot. But it all
Yeah, is
worked
there any way
out.
to avoid that though?
I mean, you just go for single province is the alternative.
Yeah, I guess single province is maybe not too terrible here. I would be concerned though if I'm just going single province and the other person picks up plus buy. Now they get garrisons, now they get hill forts, now their deck is hitting like 24 on the last turn,
Oh,
or maybe like 40.
okay, hold on. Okay, but there's not much alt BP there. There's 4 strongholds. I'm just trying to think. Like, you probably just win if you get 6 provinces. So I was just thinking if you do something kind of streamlined with um, 1 bandit, 1 legionary, 1 necropolis, and when you hit 8, you buy province. When you don't hit 8, you buy Den of Sin. I think that deck provinces pretty darn fast and pretty consistently.
Maybe you're getting attacked,
Oh yeah, but you just keep
but
the 3 cards you need to province, right? At some point, you stop playing bandit, right? If there's a collision, you just keep legionary gold and either another gold or a silver. So Okay,
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it winning some amount of the time, at least.
but jonts resigns, and my client is struggling. My interface has disappeared, so I'm gonna refresh. But we're 2-2. On to game 5. Okay, what is patient? Patient shop. I don't care about that.
It's a little bit useful because it's good in the situations where shop draws shop dead because you bought too many shops.
Yeah. It does make shop slightly better, but yeah, no. So we got the 5-2 or the 2-5 versus a 4-3, I believe. Wait, whoa, what's going on
Both
here?
players bought credit is
Oh,
the
that's what happened. Okay.
yeah, which I think makes a lot of sense to open treasury when you can. Although there's an argument for like just opening Steward Quarry or Remake Steward or something like that, and coming for the treasurer later. Because treasurer just a money lender a lot of the times early.
Yeah. But the key has already been taken. The key battle begins early.
I would
Wow.
be more keen to believe that that was important if you were more likely to want more markets early.
How did
You
Jounce
do.
get this lucky? Okay, they saw. Wait. Doesn't Xyrix have a treasure? Am I crazy? Oh,
Xyrix collided the remake and treasurer on the turn three.
okay.
Yeah.
But, like, there's no way for Jounce to have known that, is there? Unless it was revealed with the discard? I'm just trying to, like, understand the, like, taking the key. It's so brazen, because you could just, like, lose it the very next turn.
You could, although you turn off a copper trash from them, right?
Um,
If you do that.
I guess, but, like, I don't know. Taking the key that are I don't understand key politics, so I can't. I guess I won't say too much more of it. It just seems like an odd choice to me.
Maybe you didn't want to trash a copper. Like that's to me, that's usually when I take the key
Hmm.
early. It's just
You
like,
were
oh, I
trying to.
just
I think it was a Royal Galley buy, which is like,
Royal Galley's pretty good. There's a lot of stuff here early on that is helpful to if you get the Royal Galley up top, you get it twice. If the Royal Galley's on bottom, you still, get to top deck play something. It's pretty good.
So patient ended up coming in use already. Xerix at some point deciding, oh, I have a good enough turn without playing shop, so I'll just save it for my next turn, which is a pretty cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah,
Xerix
patience is
very
useful.
clean.
Good board to be clean on. I would be angling for like quarries and markets.
Mm-hmm. That seems well. I don't know about multiple quarries, but having one quarry sure looks good to me.
Yeah, maybe just one. But if you get two and a bunch of markets, then the whole kingdom becomes pretty
Mm-hmm.
free.
Although I probably want to play with platinum, but yeah,
Yeah, that's the more important card, which I think makes it so that you're probably going to play with one quarry. You could get two. You can remake the quarry
yeah,
later.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm not. I could go either way. Second quarry often seems kind of marginal to me, where it's like, yeah, I can see that paying off, and other times it's like, oh, I got it, but I actually have plenty of money anyway for the actions I needed.
Yeah, you definitely need to make sure you're getting it at the right time when you have the plus buy to use it, which is not now.
I mean, we could remake into quarry here as Xerix if we wanted to.
You play the remake, kill the galley and the shop into quarry and market, and then if you play market, play market, draw quarry, you're extremely happy. But that's obviously a little risky. And You don't have your duration balance, which I mean that's really the most important thing to keep at all times in all kingdoms.
Don't you just hit enough? Hmm. Yeah, this was a line I was thinking. I'm just trying to think about what you get here. You can't get platinum really. Not even platinum shop. So maybe just double market.
Yeah,
Because
double market seems great. That's the key card.
yeah, it like sets up your next turn really well since you have that quarry. And can potentially get another one since you have the shop in hand. You can remake. Although it's like what else you remake becomes a little bit awkward. Meanwhile, the player who did not play with remake has more junk in their deck.
Yeah, what do you know? Opening one slow trasher is slower than opening a fast trasher and a slower trasher, even if they collide.
Oh, what did John's open? John's open. No,
Oh,
John's
well,
open
open Crucible.
Crucible, yeah.
But two slow trashers,
Hmm.
to be fair.
And also not trashing with your slow trasher the first time you see it.
Right.
Whoa. Okay. I guess you're gonna turn quarry into market and shop into quarry.
Yeah, that seems like what's likely to happen.
Wonder if that's better than.
I totally
Oh,
would just get all the markets here because then that you have so much in-game control here if you get all the markets.
right. It's the only plus buy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the
Very,
treasure regain quarry. Okay, it all becomes clear to me now. That was clever.
yeah, this works. I mean, you just take four markets here if you want. I guess you
Wait,
could take maybe market platinum.
I thought there were supposed to be two quarries. What happened? Okay.
The shop was trashed into a royal galley.
Oh, come on. Get a second quarry. I know I was saying one quarry before, but no, I really like that second quarry
A
when you
quarry
could
now is a strange.
mid-turn gain it.
Yeah, I agree with Wandering Winder on the buy four markets over this stuff. I think Xyrix is maybe concerned about piles, but that's like piles are zero
That's
percent
inscrutable. That
vision.
doesn't make any sense. If you're worried about piles, buy all the markets so your opponent doesn't have plus buy, right?
Yeah, like piles are not low, and there's no like plus buy is super predictable. So like, why
Why?
would you play around?
Why aren't you getting markets, Xerix? You have two quarries now. Okay, this is just confusing. Xerix is getting a bunch of cards, and none of those cards were markets or platinum, which I think are the most important cards to be getting.
Yeah, also it's going to be totally fine. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it's this is odd. That was odd to see.
Probably Xerix getting the steward for draw, I guess.
There's some usefulness to being able to overdraw stuff and remake stuff, but if you have the huge share of the markets here, the game's just over.
Okay.
Even if well, you're not going to dud.
Why the treasures? Oh, I see. Because you're just gonna get. Oh, this should be a market, right? You have two treasures already. You can regain both of those quarries. Yeah,
Well, you regain one of them.
both of them.
You don't have the action step.
Oh, horrible. Well, that makes this turn worse than it could be. But I would still pick up a market and a platinum. But Xerix is scared. Very scared.
I think Xerix has a tendency to sort of just green like as soon as piles start to be a couple turns out, which I don't always like. I often prefer to green like only when you have to, or if you want to be first to greening. Like those, either of those are fine.
Yeah, you
But
like
this like
it tells a
in between is
message.
odd.
It tells a message that the very first thing you do is click on the green card, right? It's not like, okay, I click on market, I think for a while, I'm like, okay, I think it's probably greening time, right? Let me, click on colony. In fact, the market that goes unpurchased, which also seems odd to me. Like, why not get market steward? You had the money for it. You could even have gotten market harbor village, I think. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, just really seems concerned about continuing to draw everything, which I think will still win. Like that is like you're ahead. It's okay to just stay ahead and keep drawing everything and take some points. But I don't think it was necessary in that spot.
Maybe he just wants Jones to have a fighting chance. Says, you know what? I got 5 markets. You should have 5 markets.
You need to keep your opponent's hope up so that they exert more energy to give you the advantage in the final game. This is game five, right?
Yeah. Unless xyrix only has 4 markets. In which case, I'm not so sure that they win. No, they have 5. Okay. They're definitely ahead. You don't have the actions to play all these treasures, so maybe you remake one of them into a gold.
I would be thinking about just playing the three treasures and not playing the remake.
Yeah, I guess you could do that.
And then you can just green and then also buy Harbor Village's stewards. You take your pick. Royal Galleys.
You get the same amount of money if you remake treasure or quarry and then regain the quarry. No, you can't. Okay, you can't turn quarry into market, so it's a little bit awkward there. Yeah, never mind. If there was market, it would be better to remake quarry treasure into market gold.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'd be kind of interested in gaining coppers here. Not certain about it, but the deck can handle it. You're gonna have plenty of overdraw if you buy some like Harbor Village Steward stuff. Might be silly, but yeah, the gaining copper trash it again at least line is correct.
So as Xerix, your opponent has 6 total buys, and they don't have a remake. So you can leave piles at 6 if you want. Our opponent is not getting royal galleys, which they could. Like, I think it's better. I don't know. I think it's better to lower in Xerx's position. I don't love the province. I don't hate it. It can be remade into platinum if like that would help you win the game, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think as a general rule of thumb, if you're ahead on points as you're greening, like lowering to the point where it's just one more than your opponent can win on,
Mm-hmm.
like frequently correct, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it's dead free. And that is what Xerix ends up doing to some extent, but
Not quite.
uh,
No.
not quite enough.
Yeah, like you could go one lower, I guess. Maybe even 2 lower, but only if your opponent can't threaten double colony. I don't think Johns can, but if you were worried about double colony, you could lower to the piles to 6.
But also, Harbor Villages and Stewards are good cards for Xerix's deck.
This Crucible is going to be valuable if colonies gets lowered to 3. Johns will be able to threaten triple colony, I think. I don't know how realistic that threat will be, but it'll like it should be on like Xerx's mind.
Yeah, that's a real real contributor to the amount of reach that you have here for sure. You need to be aware of that.
Do we Crucible the quarry, right? That helps this turn, but it kind of removes your threat of ending 3 piles on future turns. I think I would do it. Markets are gone. I think I'm just ready to go into green mode. Hmm. Johnson's not. So if you get rid
Just
of the
take more treasure.
quarry, you would have had 4 more coins. Um, I guess that's not enough to buy province or a platinum, so that might have been the deciding factor.
We're loading up on shops. That's exciting.
Okay, Xerx can't win this turn because they didn't lower enough. If they had lowered down to 6 piles, they could win because Johns hasn't greened enough. Which is why you should do that.
Yeah, this looks quite likely to be a win to me.
Oh, a win because of remake, you think?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I guess the draws have to be there, but if you could get your 3 costs, you don't have to play all your stewards. Get there on piles.
Okay, okay, I forgot about remake. Yeah, so if you remake into yeah, I guess the only things you can remake are you could remake into Royal Galley Treasurer, and then you only need 5 buys to empty those. That'd be pretty good. Ooh,
Burn.
should you? I guess that's not happening. Okay. I must be missing something. Oh, you can go to
Treasure.
double treasure,
Yeah.
and then you regain the quarries. Very smooth. Okay, I was criticizing Xerix a lot, but Xerix had it all figured out.
I
And
think it was one of those games where it's easy to criticize the path wasn't optimal, but it was stay ahead, win still. So works out.
yeah, with some despair, Xerix had 20 coins and a buy left, so they could have easily gotten another colony to if Johns had been able to green more. All right, heading into the last game, and Xerix gets to start while Xerix is ahead 3-2. So see if they can. Johns can win from player 2 position.
It always makes me laugh in Xerxes starts when you have 9 seconds and then it's turn 3.
Johns is playing at that pace too. I mean, Johns
Yeah,
is.
they're playing tennis with the pace a little bit. You like to see there's been a lot of relatively fast A. I mean, a lot of that is Xerix is there, and then you sort of start doing it with Xerix. But you like to see it.
I'm a little confused. What was the thought behind opening Workers' Village?
It's shy, so it's like a lab.
Ah, I'm used to clicking the kingdom button, and that shows all the cards in the kingdom, but it does not show traits on the cards that have the traits. Bit of a user downside.
Yeah, they can be friendly for the viewers to see the cards. But I am lost in that view. I can't look at it and make any sense of it.
Yeah, I've just gotten in the habit of it because some people have like requested it on my videos, so I'm like, okay. Okay, that was a cool Imperial Envoy gain from Xerix, knowing that they had workers' villages lined up.
Yeah, good tracking there. And being first to add draw kingdom like this always really good.
Ooh, we gonna get a ghost? Sure are. That's a very nice couple turns for Xerix here.
Yeah, that's all going well for Xerix. And meanwhile, Johns is looking at not really a lot of convenient stuff to do. Guess you're just adding the Envoy here, and then maybe rebuying Amulet. I don't know.
I think you only need the one amulet, so. But do you need a guard dog? I don't know. I mean, we should also consider silver. Eventually, you're going to be playing with Sack of Loot, right? But the silver can
The
help you
main issue
afford that.
is Xyrix's deck is like totally working and adding payload, and John still has 14 cards.
There is one thing about Xyrix's deck that is not working, and that is this ghost does not have a target.
Classic Ghost. It just lets you look at all your cards. Ghost is bad. I mean, obviously it can be good, but Ghost is bad. The
It
single Ghost at least.
it's like it's like kind of like a last resort kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, it's last resort or why not. Those are the two reasons to gain it.
Yeah.
I think I think as a why not, yeah, it makes it a perfect amount of sense as a why not here, but yeah, it does things like make you wait a turn sometimes like that.
Let me read Shy. I don't have a lot of experience with these trades. Yeah, so it's like a tough decision for Xyrix. No, never mind. You just play the guard dog first, and then you have all the information you need. But yeah, like in general, you can have tricky decisions with Shy because it's like, okay, well, if like I only have one workers village, then I can discard it and get two cards. But if one of them's a terminal, and it was on top of my deck, I would have preferred it probably if I just played workers village or like terminal draw. So a little tricky. Is this Imperial Envoy going to get replaced? Let's see. It does not. Shouldn't we have gained another replace there?
Just to gain and play it for free, basically. At the thought.
Yeah. Like, we could have hold on. Yeah, we could have trashed the curse with the replace instead of the amulet, is my thinking. And then we just have another replace. Silver to replace, and then replace the curse to estate, give out a curse. I think I would have liked that.
Yeah, that seems likely pretty good to me to have done. Jonts is just
Struggling.
not having the deck come together. Useful spell scroll here to
Mm-hmm.
draw stuff. I'd be pretty interested in replacing just putting workers' villages on top at this point in Xerx's position. But I guess you've got ghosting stuff here. You really don't need
Mm-hmm.
to actually build for consistency this turn.
Could get two workers villages here. I kind of like that just because you are going to ghost one, then you can shy the other, and then you have so much more terminal action. You can replace into replace and stuff like that. But Xerix doesn't do that.
Yeah, just having all the workers' villages here seems really nice. Especially because as the game goes on, that you need one of them in your starting hand, really, to kick off. So
Well, with crowns you have other options, but it is definitely nice to have one in your starting hand.
you sort of have other options, but if crowns, it needs to be crown
Mm-hmm.
envoy.
Yeah, or crown to guard dog, which is pretty good because the first guard dog play will be +4.
Right. Mostly just needs to be crown draw card
Yeah.
of any kind, but which is likely. But it's crown. How many crowns are you gonna have? And you got sack of loot gaining a bunch of stuff here.
Speaking of,
So I
was it correct to play an Imperial Envoy there? You just took 4 dead. I think you could have done it with guard dog.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that the Imperial Envoy was correct there.
I guess he did draw 10 cards with it, so maybe it was correct. Guard Dog would only have drawn 4. That's a huge difference, so. No, I think it's probably correct.
Also totally winning.
Oh, yeah. Look at all that loot. You can do whatever the hell you want.
I would
Oh,
take 2 workers' villages here, though. I really would.
sure. And Imperial Envoy, because you're
Yeah.
coming up into your not a ghost turn.
Oh, we
Oh.
see the rush attack. That's
Whoa.
that's fun. I like it.
That was not on my radar. That will definitely help the next turn, and then you can replace it later, so sure, why not?
Yeah, and replace is great. I mean,
But
crown replace at the end is the way to end this game fast.
yeah, Xyrix just kind of saying, I don't care that I only have 3 workers' villages. We'll see if they come to regret that. They're certainly way ahead. There's no doubt about that. But if if jonts was able to take the last 2 workers' villages, which I don't think they can, but if they were, that would be an interesting situation.
Yeah, it's not going to end up happening. It would have been interesting. That said, as long as Xerix keeps having either Crown or Workers Village in these starting hands, I mean, game's clearly over. And Tactician here is going to clearly make sure that that's going to be the case. I guess you can keep rushing Tactician every
Yeah, that
turn,
does give
right?
you an extra action, and yeah, you just replace the tactician the following turn. So, no, that's a good synergy. That wasn't on my radar.
So yeah, just greening and doing that from here seems plenty good to me.
This whole reacting with guard dog thing is really gonna come to an end if somebody gets a sword. A modest amount of replacing going on here.
A little bit surprised we didn't replace the Chalice.
Oh god, we can also get a figurehead crowned here. Wow, it's funny that the ghost got trashed.
The best part of Ghost is it costs 4.
Many people thought, man, Ghost is really underpriced for what it can accomplish, but I don't know. Just kidding. Ghost would be good if it was a kingdom card that cost 4.
It would be. It would be very strong.
All right, well played by Xerix. Ends up winning 4-2. And very fast game. Very fast match from both players. Thanks for joining me on commentary, Breppert.
Thank you. See ya.
See you.